Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be doing a Japan disaster save that was posted onto the Discord by one of the members, and so we're going to be both diagnosing kind of what's wrong with this run, although, you know, this run's actually in decent shape, and we are going to be trying to find a fix. Notably, 2K construction's pretty good, but we're going to try and go to 10K and see if we can get it in about maybe an hour-ish of playtime, probably by 1905. Hopefully the computer doesn't get too slow. That is a bit of an issue for me, but what we're going to be largely doing here is diagnosing, based off of the variety of things, what we can improve on this run and various things we can do. I spent maybe 5 to 10 minutes looking through this run beforehand, and the big things to note is we are running out of population, so we will have to get some peasants somewhere because we only have 500k unemployed and 150k peasants relative to this 190 or this 19 million unemployed. Notably, a time when you can kind of tell when you're running out of peasants is when your SOL starts creeping up, and so this will be one concern. We do need to get some labor. We do have a war currently going on, so we can't grab any labor anyway, and we also do probably want to go after Great Qing for stuff, but we have a truce with them, and so we cannot do anything. We also have a truce with these guys, but they are not part of Great Qing, so we will probably be going after both Korea and Great Qing for labor. We can also look to expand the market in order to get labor. The market is not too expansive, although we do not accept an enormous amount of pops, and so going multiculturalism would also be something we could do. Now, let's quickly go through some of the PMs. Notably, I see that we are on, rotary valve engine, which is a less efficient labor-saving PM, or one of the least efficient ones, and so this is kind of one you want to turn on last, but we're going to keep it on because we are running out of labor. Also, notably, assembly lines is even worse. I'm not sure if there's a mod. We have an enormous amount of tech for this time period, it feels like, and so we're in pretty good shape. We're researching international exchange, macroeconomics, and modern financial instruments right now. Is that correct? Well, we don't really need conveyors here. Well, we're almost certainly going to finish this because we're already researching. Conveyors is no good. Art silk is no good. Bottle blowers is no good. But flash freezing is a decent labor-saving PM, and so it's a little tempting to go for flash freezing instead of finishing all this out. Also, we could go for military tech, but we have a decent army power projection, and I think that this is not necessarily the direction that this player wanted to go because he's doing a relatively chilled out run. We also are spreading elevators, which is nice. Now, we have arc welding, so let's take a look at the construction a little bit. So we are on arc welding right now. Well, that is super nice, and so we're gonna look to really crank up the construction. And so let's go into let's first go through all the PMs and kind of swap around to some better ones. Automatic power looms is a very strong one. Do we have an electricity problem? Would be my first diagnosis as why it's not turned on. Okay, so we have 32K, or we're producing 27K electricity. So let's come back and see how much this is going to cost us. This is only going to cost 1.3K. We will turn on that labor-saving PM. Now, we do not want to use nitrogen fixation process. It's not very good. We will turn on electric arc process. This is going to use quite a bit of electricity, and this as well is going to use electricity, but the electricity price shouldn't be too out of control. We are building some generators, and so this will be nice, and so we're going to get some more output on all of these things. It looks like some things are auto-producing, some things are not, and we notably can switch things over to covered markets. So let's take a look again, kind of what's going on. And glass isn't too expensive. We're producing 11K, and we are producing, where's the steel? Steel is cheap. We're producing 27K. So just kind of coming in and taking a look, we will probably be cranking up pretty aggressively on the covered markets, especially because they're not going to fully employ. The substitution is profitable, and services will drive up SOL, which will help with the migration a little bit if we can pull anyone to the market. So this is going to take how much? Well, how much for all of them? What is the consumption balance? So it's going to consume a ton more steel and really not that much more glass. And so more than happy to actually make this swap right now because it'll make our steel way more profitable, which will allow it to employ up. We do have some unemployed. We want to swap this, I think, Do we want bougie patronage? I think we would prefer independent artists if we're currently not getting the doubled bonus on the intelligentsia. They're not powerful. So independent artists will help us boost the clout of the intelligentsia just a little bit. So let's swap to that. We are on... Ooh, we're on oil-fired plants. Not a huge fan of this tech, but electricity is a little bit expensive for us right now. We really do have to build out a lot more electricity. So why don't we take... We're going to build out more electricity, but we're going to swap back to a coal-fire plant sometime soon. Well, actually, we have a ton of oil. Why do we have so much oil? Okay, well, moving on. Kind of moving through this, we are going to use Chemferts. This is just a good one. It increases the price of fertilizer, which is something we are kind of interested in anyways, and decreases the price of grain considerably. We will swap up to the labor-saving PM there. We're going to swap to mechanized slaughterhouses. I don't think there's a good reason not to. We're just going to keep on this, although sometimes I like to keep on intensive grazing ranch. Notably, we could swap up to tractors. I think I kind of like tractors more than... I'm trying to remember the values of labor saving. I think I would prefer tractors over doing this here with the electricity, but we'll get back to that in a second. And we have a bunch of these to turn on, and if I recall correctly, engines aren't even that expensive. You don't like really want to have a low price for all this, and so let's just kind of come in here, and we are going to... we want diesel pump on everything. Oh my god. Diesel pump is by far the most efficient PM. Like, I think it, like, plus 50%'s, like, a whole thing. I hate the exclam, but we're in it. And let's see. And we are on, yeah, electric. So, it's not necessarily the most efficient on the PMs, but we definitely want to be coming onto automatic irrigation on everything. This is really not using a lot of engines too. Automatic irrigation, for the record, just basically doubles your output of goods. It's very, very, very strong tech, and so you always want to be using it. And so we also want to use steam donkeys, which is pretty efficient labor-saving PM. Notably, it's like one of the most efficient specifically on coal, but we are going to turn it on everywhere, especially because we just turned on the diesel pumps on coal, so I really don't think we're going to run a shortage, and this is going to fire a ton of pops, but it's going to give us access to a ton more labor. We do want to do rail log carts, and we do want to do refrigerated rail carts here, and not rail transport there, and we want to set oil to auto expand. It's already auto expanded all the way out. We're going to set that to auto expand. We're going to set... Oop, that was on auto expand. I killed it. Oh no. We're going to set all the mines on auto expand. This is largely a quality of life, more so than things necessarily being like what's best. But that is our current situation there, and we're not going to take an unpause yet, but we are currently... Let's take a look at how much unemployed we have. Actually, I think we have to see another Monday to see these values. Okay, so we have a lot more unemployed now, so we have a little more wiggle room. We are going to try and build out as much as possible, and so we're going to... We don't want to... I think we don't want these consumption taxes because we are having problems. We're also going to stop passing Presidential Republic because I'm not a huge fan of it. But I think we're going to keep this in. We're going to run the -1 balance on Oppo group approval, but we're just going to decrease that. But we're going to increase taxes here to generate a lot more revenue. And we're going to use all this revenue to do my very favorite thing, which is increase construction. So we're just going to go up a whole lot, you know, at the front of the queue here. And then we're going to come in again at the back of the queue. Ooh, I didn't want to put those all in at the back of the queue. I wanted to put other stuff in first. And then we're going to kind of come through, and we are going to look at trying to build up things up to 51 that are really close to 51, just because it's incredibly efficient. So Shikogu, we are going to crank this up to 51. So we're just going to do that. Was 44, 45, 46, 51. And furniture manufacturer here, we are going to do... In Chubu, we're going to do, what is this, 47, 1, 2, 3, 4. here, we're going to make sure that this gets there, especially because we're expanding out construction, so all this is going to be a lot more expensive. So we're going to get all of those there. There's not one close here. And the main, let's kind of just talk about this. The reason why is you have increasing marginal returns on increasing throughput from economies of scale. So when you have like a level 14 building, God, we have so many other bonuses. But when you have the level 1 building and then you build the level 2 building, you get 1% economies of scale, but you get it on both the buildings. So you're effectively getting 2% of economies of scale bonus. But when you build the 51st building, you're effectively, the second building is worth 102% of the building. It has 101% on it, and the previous single building, it gets boosted up to 1%, so that's 2% total. When you build the 51st building, it's effectively 200% of a building because you have increased something from an economies of scale of 49, or you've increased all the previous 50 buildings from 49 to 50, so that's worth 50%. And then the building itself is worth 50%, and so it's worth 200% of a building, not including other bonuses, of which there are a lot. So this is kind of why you want to approach it in that way. And also, you're getting the 50% on the building itself. So the 50% on the previous other buildings plus the 50% on the building itself, 200%, and the building itself. And so this is why getting up to, this level is so critically important. And so we're going to continue doing that here. And let's just kind of go through shipyards. We notably do want to build shipyards in Shikoku specifically because this is where we have our bonus for the inland sea. So we would prefer to have like a 51 here and not anywhere else. And so we'll do that. And then we are also going to build a ton of railways at the front of the queue. Where we know we're already constructing a lot, or going to, which is mainly just like in these aisles here. All right, and let's come back to it and just kind of cranking through the industry. We see that Kanto, I think, look at this infra. So we have gotten the event here to just give a ton of infra. So maybe we don't build those up in Kanto at all. Because it is the capital and he has gotten the 100% throughput event here on the railways. So we probably don't need more. Yeah, the plus 100% from Metropolitan Railways. So we're not going to build up there. But we are going to build up everywhere else. And we're specifically going to really aggressively 51 buildings in Kanto as a result of this. Textile mills, again, we're going to do some of this. Kyushu, we're going to bring them up. We are trying to get stuff above 51 when it is close to 51. So Kanto, again, ton of infra here. So we're just going to 51 this one ahead of these two. Although we generally would want to do this. And then Electric Industries, Kansai, we're going to just come in and 51. This is the name of the game. 51, 51, and more 51s everywhere. Although engines aren't that expensive. Now, we do need a lot more electricity, and so we will be going for that. So in Kanto, this is 37, 41, 51, and then this is, Kansai is up to, what is this going up to? This is going up to 40, 50, 51. We will do railways here. And notably, let's just kind of take a quick look at the decrees he has set up. He has encouraged road maintenance and manufacturing here and here, and he's doing resource industries in Tohoku. We might nuke this one because relative to the size of our market, this is extremely strong early game to have this, but relative to the size of our market, it's really not providing a lot, so we're going to get rid of that. Because we're getting much bigger. So we are continuing on through. We got a lot more electricity in the queue. We are going to need so much steel, it hurts my mind. So we're just going to, bring these up to 51, 51, and these up to 51. Now, it would be more efficient to kind of intersperse them, but we're not going to do it that way. And then, why are we... Okay, we have... I mean, they're close to 51, so we're just going to go for it. And then we're going to be pretty aggressive about maxing out. Now, Arts Academies, we don't necessarily... Man, there's so much Arts Academies. But we're not going to expand those. Is that... Why is there 150 in Kenya? What? Is that all there is there? This is just the arts capital of the world, just cranking up in Kenya. Alright, okay. I see you. I see you. I get it. You need the Kenyan artists. I understand. All right, and we're going to do the same thing here, except for a lot of these will not be max outable. Actually, a lot of these probably have construction malices as well. So we're just going to let them auto-expand. We set them all to auto-expand. That should get through relatively quickly. Now, is this insufficient market access because we don't have infra? Ooh, the turmoil is not too bad here. Is it incorporating? I think we will probably incorporate. So we have a ton of excess bureaucracy. So what we're going to come in here as well and do is some of this action. And I see that the health system's going up. We're going to only bring it up one level instead. And because it's costing 500 bureaucracy per level for all this. And health system's okay, but rather have colonial affairs. And notably, he forgot to add new colonies. There's not any colonies building. And I think we have... you know, malaria prevention, and so we're losing out on a ton of pop and resources that we could have gotten here, but now we're getting them, so that's going to be good. Notably, we didn't get cut off here. Hurrah! Okay. So let's look at the diplomatic situation just to double check. It looks like everyone's kind of happy with us, but let's see who we can improve relations with. We're going to improve relations with France, Great Britain. Actually, no, let's not do this. Are we rivaling anyone? Doesn't look like we're rivaling anyone. Do we want to be? Probably not. Two Sicilies is actually pretty weak, so let's just pick up a little bit of extra juice here. And we would love to expand our customs union if we could. Zulu will accept. This seems fine enough. By expanding the customs union, we can be more industrial, so this will help out a lot. But we really can't expand it too much. Who do we have an obligation with? Rwanda. Okay, I see you. And so let's try and improve relations specifically with Dainam. Why can't we improve with Burma? Okay, the button clicked and let us click, but just to try and Diplo incorporate some of these guys, let's do Sikh Empire. This is kind of a weird situation. Let's do some of this, and let's bankroll Bukhara, because I see these guys are subject. We transferred him over from, you know, Russia, and he doesn't have any access. And so just for the sake of my sanity, I'm not sure this is the best bankroll, but we're going to bankroll here. We can also afford a ton of other bankrolls. Let's kind of take a look at where our... Oh, we can declare so many more interests. Yeah, let's do that, baby. This will allow us to run way more trade routes, so we will not do any trade route messing about until after this kind of comes in. Why do we have an interest down here? Let's do it. Maybe something like this. This seems pretty good. Okay. Ooh, we are going to need an interest in Great Qing. I suppose we don't need the North Africa, but we are going to need that interest there. And so that looks pretty good from that perspective. Now, we are having both a labor problem, and I don't think we quite need this much Navy, and I love multiples of 5. So we're going to delete some Navy and some Army as well. And we will... Machine guns are fine. I kind of like infiltrators because the demand profile they create demands a lot more radios and they push fast. So we're going to switch to infiltrators on this. And we'll keep these ones on machine guns because they are pretty good at anti-pushing. And it's a little bit easier on some things. We will up this to squad infantry. We just won't kind of do that. Looks like we are on kind of the latest... Whoop, are we on battleships without planes? Oh, they don't take planes. It's carriers that take planes. All right, fair enough. And we're not on diesel trains perfect. We are on steel perfect. And we are doing all that. So, just coming in. We're going to delete some military. We're going to delete it in Afghan... Oh, okay, we can't do it because the revolution's brewing. Okay, so let's stop with this. We would rather go parliamentary anyways. Council Republic's not terrible. And I think that we do have an anarchist. We have an anarchist boyo somewhere. So this guy is an anarchist. Can we get this? Nope, it's not going to be legitimate. We're just going to exit reform. We have an unacceptable government. This will improve when we take Beijing. We can promote our anarchists to this and then go for multiculturalism as well. But we don't have a huge market, so it's not going to really be necessary. This is perhaps one thing that could have been worked on a lot more throughout this run is having a robust and big market, because I don't see... There's Burma's in our market, and that's looks like the only country that is not a subject that is in the market. Although it is nice, we are in customs union. We could protectorate them with a bankroll or with a what is it? Obligation. So we will do that as well. So we have gone through most of the buildings. We are going to look at the trade in just a second. That's right, we're delete. Oh, because we can't delete these because the revolution is brewing. So now the revolution's gone away, and so now we can delete some of these. Wait, what? Why can't we delete these? Do we have to wait for a Monday? Okay, now we can delete. We're not gonna, we don't want the South African troops here. We're just gonna go with Kansai and Shubu. I think we're going to downsize. Do we have available labor in these states? Let's just take a quick look. There's unemployed here, there's unemployed here. Okay, so we're not gonna worry too much about downsizing to do this. And as far as boats go, I guess we're in okay shape. I'm just looking for ways to cut costs, but maybe this isn't necessary. And we just absolutely crank the construction. Now, we have a bunch of construction centers that we wanted in the back of the queue. We're just going to do some of this action and look to get them in the back of the queue. And so we're going to build some construction centers. And then we're going to build a bunch of stuff, and then we're going to build more construction centers and a bunch of stuff, more construction, a bunch of stuff, etc., etc. Okay, well, the railroads are in front, but I think we're ready to unpause and have a little bit of a look. Once we have our diplomatic interests come down, we're going to reevaluate all of the trade routes and do this sort of thing. So we're just kind of keeping an eye on this. We are involved in a play. I keep forgetting. We do have to put down this Persian uprising. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. Hopefully he's not mobilized with conscripts or anything, because we did kind of make it more expensive. Let's just wait for this war to pop, and then we'll go after it, and then we'll talk about the trade a little bit. All right. So we'll just land with 2 armies, kind of relatively small ones, because that should be all we need to do. Persia could actually probably handle this on their own, but we just want to get through it. And now we're going to take a look at trade routes, of which there's some things going on. So we don't hate exporting ammo. I'm usually not too aggressive about it, but we do want some of these to be productive. We do have it sorted by goods. That way we can talk about the strategy. And so we're going to take out some of these trade routes. This is going to make the goods that we're eating a little bit cheaper, and going to refund some bureaucracy, which we are getting on spending by increasing institutions. We're importing, we generally don't want to import any manufactured goods. Ships are a manufactured good, and so we're going to do that, and our customs union member, I'm assuming Burma, will cry, but that's his problem, not ours. This is what I'm assuming is going on. Now, we have a huge... we are both importing and exporting coffee. We're going to switch to just importing it. We just want to import it, and this makes this route unprofitable, so we're going to do that. We're not going to look to do any arbitrage where we're importing and exporting for trade profit. Instead, we're going to import agricultural goods so that we can be more industrial focused in general. To that end, we are importing some of these already, and so we're just going to scroll through and make sure that this strategy is consistent. We're going to stop exporting grain. This will raise SOL as well, which has some positive effects. And now we can't do this trade route because it is this thing. So we just want, for every good, we want to be all exporting or all importing it. Generally speaking, we're exporting alcohol. This is fine. Really nice that we're exporting so much ships. That's super cool. They're generally really efficient once you get to on the arc welding. We are exporting our... Oh my god, this scroll is going to kill me. But we're exporting our iron, and it's not profitable. We would rather be importing iron and encouraging the AI to build it, because eventually there will be shortages. We're importing the oil, that's fine. We're importing some military ships. That is just to help our subject, whom we don't care about. We're going to go to the store for some smokes and never come back, and our subject will be like, hey, what the hell? We're exporting some of this to the UK. It's not profitable. That's probably fine. Exporting porcelain, fine. We don't want to export silk. We don't want to export silk because we would rather not be focused on those goods as much. And I'm shocked that it somehow wasn't profitable. We're exporting this, we're exporting this, we're importing sugar and exporting sugar. We're going to stop exporting sugar to Russia. Man, we're killing so many trade routes with Russia. They're going to be big sad. And France. But we will just kill as much trade routes as possible when we are just kind of exporting. Yeah, we don't want to export tea. I suppose we could have sorted by agricultural goods. I know there's a couple UI changes you could do, but we do not want to be exporting agricultural goods. We want to be importing them so we can be more focused on, you know, being an agricultural, or sorry, being an industrial economy. Because when you import all the agricultural stuff, you drive down the price, which makes your auto queue not want to build those things. Now, why is there so much arts academies? All right, exporting tools, that's fine. Importing. So this looks okay. We're okay with kind of all the trade routes right now. Some of them aren't profitable, but it's really not a big deal. Like, we have a bunch of furniture manufacturers in the queue, although generally we want to export more of the other ones, but these are okay. We'll let stuff adjust a little bit, and then we're going to try and export as much as possible a bunch of finished goods, and then import a bunch of, you know, more agrarian-oriented goods. So we're going to import dyes. Coffee, if we can. Cool, we can. Notably, we're getting a lot of this from South America as well. Fabric. Can't really import fabric very well. Okay, fair enough. Grain. Nope. Okay, we have really cheap of some of these, which is fine. It's going to make our inputs cheap, or our pups that are eating them are going to be happy. So we'll be fine with that. We can also turn the grain into groceries, and so that will be fine. But can we import silk? We can from Xing, but we're probably going to fight Xing soon. Not too big a deal. Let's see a lot of these. Let's try and import. And then let's try and import. Okay, we can't import all this. And now for the exporting, we are going to try and export tools and finished goods just in general. Whoa. There's so many routes we can run. Okay. We are going to kind of take a look and think about who we want to get in the customs union. We maybe want to do something with... Yeah, we want to do something with these guys down here maybe, and probably a lot of South America. So we're going to do some of these routes that aren't necessarily the most profitable, but it looks like they're all pretty profitable here. Mexico, yep, so they're all profitable, and then we'll do some of the most profitable routes, and then we are also keeping in mind the fact that we have more of this stuff in the queue, and this will drive up the profitability of our businesses quite a lot, which will allow us to build more of them. Can we export explosives? We can. Man, that's not usually the case. We're actually probably going to eat a lot of explosives in just a second, though, so let's not do that. We're not going to export any of that yard. We're going to export some furniture, I guess, just a little bit. Is hardwood exportable? Not really. Okay, luxuries are going to be kind of where it's at for the exports, at least in the early game. I guess we're eating a lot of our luxuries right now, so that'll be fine. These aren't very... Let's look at the productivity. Okay. Let's just send out some of these. Any one of these that's profitable with these guys, we will send out. Actually, just kind of reviewing it. Because we want more people in the market. These guys won't siphon off our pops, because I'm guessing they don't have multiculturalism. And so getting them into the market would be a big nice. And then exporting tools. We have it sorted, and then let's get some of these. So we're doing a ton of volume of trade with these guys because we want to be able to pull them into the market into the future. Or not into the future, but in the future. Into the future would be quite a neat trick that I know not how to do. And let's see, we will export some of the tools. We are eating some tools, and so there's like a ton of adjustments that... Why can't we export tools to them? What the hell? Oh, it's just UI is bugged? Okay, fair enough. And now we're going to also do some of the big routes that we aren't going to need convoys for. And so, all in all, this is a ton of trade routes that we've just put in. You know, scrolling through now, it's like way, way, way more, but we have a ton of bureaucracy, so this is fine. And so we're in good shape for this. You see all the significant export routes. And so we'll take an unpause and kind of let things balance out a little bit. Just kind of looking... And as long as... What are we running shortages of? Okay, so we did it to get rid of these shortages things. Well, you know... Okay, I don't hate it, just from a UI perspective. To just make this go away. So, I changed my mind. I'm fine with this, because I want this to go away so that we can get the pop-up, you know, for other things. But just taking a look at prices, man. It's so expensive on this... And now what are we running out short? We just put an import route in. Come on. Come on, man. Okay, so stuff is adjusting, and we are still cranked up and making a ton of money. So, what we want to do is we're going to come to the back of the queue, and we're going to kick a bunch of these construction sectors to the top that we had kicked to the back. And then we are going to build until, like, it doesn't tolerate it much more, and then we're going to kick more construction queues up to the front. We're just kind of looking at this number, and we're going to reach a point where we're deficit spending, especially because this investment pool is so big, and we really want to drain it. It's not working for you when it's just sitting in the queue, and the best way to drain it is just expanding construction and expanding demand for things. See, the reason why it's not really... the construction queue is not filling, the auto builder isn't building, it's because the price of goods is too low, and so we have a ton of export routes that are really helping with this. We are running a ton of negative convoys as well. So we're going to just kind of do some of this action, because I anticipate we will need a lot more convoys, especially if we're looking to expand the customs union. It looks like, you know, a lot of the trade routes are also adjusting up and down, because we put in a ton. So we're going to just, I think we just take Zulu into the customs union as is. I don't think we're going to conquer Zulu, so them coming into the custom union is pretty good. We're going to mainly look to do a lot of our guys on this. What is this about? That's going to help out. That's going to give us land trade capacity and notably higher max level in where we can construct. So we're going to increase, specifically in the places where we're constructing. We know we're constructing a lot. We're going to increase. Well, this one's +6, so that's probably a bug here. So we're already up about 50% construction. We're still running a ton of money, but we do have to keep an eye on the pops, because you see we're going to be running out fairly soon, and so this will raise the cost of everything. Notice SOL dropped off a little. We don't mind that too much. That's not necessarily ideal, but I think it's because we're exporting a lot of consumer goods, and so in the long term, it's going to give us more investment pool, and we're going to make more money, because this balance here is going to be a higher on these buildings, because the price of the outputs has gone up, and also we're not making a ton of money on. We are producing a ton of fabric, silk, and this type of stuff, and we're not making very much money on it. So now we've crushed this accession, and we have a ton of. We have 0 infamy, but at this point, and so we would love to just acquire a large amount of population as easily as possible. And so what would be the best way to do that? So I don't think we want to rumble with the Raj kind of for no reason. We could just look to get access here. We could just, let's check the truce is. It's 13 months, so we do have to wait 11 years on this. And the biggest... the problem is we really just want to take Qing provinces and do this. And, you know, by now, these guys are not the best, you know, to Dominion anymore. Because they have too much. But what we could do is we could go after, like, Guatemala. Just Dominion them. And that way we will have a native interest there. And we can also run volume of trade with Mexico, kind of for no cost. Now, let's see who is likely to intervene. We will face Guatemala. Well, we don't want to face all those. Are they in the Mexican market? No, they're not. Could we get an adjacency to the U.S. somehow? U.S.'s market. We could if we got Ecuador into our market. Who's got Panama? The U.S. of A. Classic. But we can get an adjacency to the U.S. market if we take Costa Rica. So let's see if we can Dominion Costa Rica. It doesn't look like it'll be too hard. So let's just take Dominion on Costa Rica. We're going to put in war reps and, you know, something else like this. Open market. Nah, that seems fine enough. We're just trying to spook them. We want them to join in, and so this isn't going to give us pop, but I don't see necessarily a very good way to grab pop at this point in time, considering we have a truce with Qing, and I don't think taking these provinces would be good, and I think we can diplomatically incorporate these guys, and so New Granada is swayed. Interesting. I don't think we're going to go for anything on New Granada, but, I mean, we could. They're very likely to back down. But let's go back into, I think we'll just fight New Granada if we have to. I think we can take war reps off them, though. So... not going to be a big deal. We want to be adjacent to New Granada, though, because they are in the U.S. Customs Union, so this means we can trade more with the U.S. I think we're going to keep juggling up, you know, construction as much as, not as much as we can, but in fairly often, and look to finish these 51 buildings and be back when we have that. So just now, after absolutely collapsing the price of like all these agrarian oriented goods, which we were exporting and now we're not. The landowners aren't making enough money anymore, and they've become marginalized, which is going to be good for us because now we don't have to eat their negative bonus or their malice. Rather, we are also going for rights of assembly here because guaranteed libs is pretty good. One of the reasons we can't get laws through at this current point in time is because people get big mad, and the approval rating is not tremendously high. If we up the loyalists, this will help out a lot. Right now we have a lot of radicalism and not necessarily kind of a decreasing amount of loyalists, and so we are going for this in order to do this. Also, it will radicalize just the where are they? The Buddhist monks, which will be quite... We're going to double check the PMs here, though, because I'm wondering why they're still relatively powerful as is. Now, wait. Okay, we're probably going to swap up to arcades soon. And by soon, I probably mean now. Yeah, let's just do it now. But we are just going to double check that we are on secular. Yeah, we're on forced secular. Wow, crazy that they're still so powerful. We do have to reset some PMs. I don't remember where we got... Oh, we own this territory? We have this dirt? Okay, so then we could just come in here and do reset PMs here. Weird. Weird. Okay, why did... Okay. Alright, fair enough. But we have this war underway as well. It should be able to be wound up pretty quick. We are landing. We didn't mobilize very much for it, though. So I just realized the universities are spread out all over the place here. We are trying to save on labor, so we're looking for places to cut. And so we are going to demolish all the universities. No school for you. You can just, you know, learn on your own time. And then what we will be doing is we will be rebuilding Kanto up to a level 51 university. The thing is that for universities specifically as a building, they benefit so much from throughput because throughput just increases the input goods and they increase the outputs, which includes the innovation here. We don't really need the qualifications. People have enough wealth to be qualified as is, and so its qualifications are not a problem. But what the throughput does is it's going to increase the innovation and it's going to increase the paper usage. If you take a look, almost all the expense here is in the wages. So we definitely want to be getting plus 50% paper for plus 50% innovation really badly. Now, what I'm just not sure of is if we want to delete the ones in Kansai as well. Well, we probably do. Because we are trying to get the intelligentsia over... Well, they're almost at 20%. And they probably will be. See, the thing is that you also get extra 50% clout in the capital, and so this is kind of why you build the capital up to 51 specifically. But, I mean, I don't necessarily hate it. Nah, we're going to delete them. We want that money. We want that cheddar. And then we're going to come in, and we're going to come and do a 51 here, which is going to give us roughly, you know, a very similar amount of innovation as the 81 we had, kind of just... all over the place. We actually might just dice this up a little bit. Let's just keep it at a cool 65. Actually, what am I doing here? That should be a perfect amount. Okay, so we do have some unis in the queue as well, and we have freed up some additional labor. We went from like 80-something unis to 69. We probably have more innovation. We are tech spreading. At least one tech. Really not that much. Actually, we probably don't need the unis even that tall anyways, because we're not really tech spreading anything. And I think we don't have a high enough literacy rate for this to be... Yeah, so we're actually just going to do a 51. Because 51 is better. It hurts my soul, but 51 is going to be better here because we're not tech spreading to catch up. And so because we're not tech spreading, this should be more than enough innovation, right? To hit the current innovation cap. Yeah, so we're currently getting this. The overflow is going to the tech spread, but we're only spreading one tech. It's not going to be a huge deal, and this frees up even more labor, you know, kind of, that is going to be a little bit of a problem for us. You know, not tremendous. We are still going to be able to build out for a short period of time, but it is going to be a problem soon. Now, we have almost maxed out the construction centers in the mainland, so we're going to have to find additional places to put them as well. We're still floating a little bit of excess bureaucracy, so what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to start incorporating some of these smaller African spots. We're actually probably going to incorporate most of Africa. It is going to take a hot minute to get it all. Actually, let's not incorporate this. Yeah, I do want to stop. Actually, Kenya is where we have all of our culture, right? That's where we produce our art, but we do want to incorporate these places because these guys paying taxes is going to be a big thing. If we can acquire these taxes, this would be great. We are going to, as a result of this, need more government administrations because remember, we are increasing a lot of institutions here. So we're going to look at where we don't have enough tax capacity, and we're going to look to build up specifically in these spots. Well, what is our bureaucrats on? They're unappointed. We would prefer elected. We might try and make that swap. And we'll see exactly how things go. Also, the rural folk have also gotten marginalized as a consequence of our, you know, kind of decreasing the price of all these agricultural goods with our new trade policy. Let's just take a quick look at our GDP. We had an initial sink because we tanked the price of this, but now look at us, we're coming on up, and a big part of this is we've nearly doubled construction here at this point, and it's only been, you know, I don't even think it's been a couple of years. There was an 11th month truce at the start of this, and so now there is a 5, so it's been half a year here, and we've nearly doubled construction. We're losing money, but we want to be losing money, because when we're losing money, we're stimulating the economy, we're injecting money into the economy. The price of a lot of goods is higher, you know, in such a way that it is going to make all the buildings more profitable, and then we just build more buildings that are profitable. Wow, our hardwood is super expensive. We are going to see if we can solve that and just, okay. So we can't, I guess we just build more wood. In this case, wood is extremely efficient. And can we build more wood? We really can't. And so we will turn to importing hardwood a little bit, which is not one that we put in. And let's just actually take a quick look through importing resources, because we do want to encourage the AI to build these, and we are starting to kind of be having this a little close to maxed out. It will also smooth out our construction, even though these are capitalist owned and there's a dump truck outside, which is always important. Now, as sulfur as much as possible, we would rather build ourselves because it's way more efficient. The sulfur, the PMs for sulfur are more efficient than the PMs for just about, like, I think, or for more than any mine that's not a gold mine. So, ooh, we can also annex these. Oh, wait, just kidding. They're not ours. They're our enemies. And so we will continue on this war. Got a little bit of a bugged front where it just unassigned, but we should be in good shape now. If you noticed here, I believe at the start of this, we were accumulating money in the investment pool. Now we're draining the investment pool, which is where we want to be. We're kind of at a good point. We're minus 400K, total of minus half a milli. I think we can keep this up for a little while before looking to increase construction again. There isn't necessarily like a spectacular place for us to put the construction. We're probably going to put it in Hokkaido. Hokkaido doesn't really have an enormous amount of pops. We also only have 12 weeks on the truce, so we will be going after specifically Beijing, and then I don't know if we're going to take Shanxi at the same time, but we're just going to chill, or we're going to not chill. We kind of have zero chill, kind of would love to annex something. Is Bahrain ours? Maybe we should have taken Bahrain for the oil. Man, UK has been just super active this run. We could annex Bulungan, except we can't. Why not? Do we have a truce? They're a puppet. Why can't we annex them? Is there a play against us? Why can't we annex vassal? Do we just have to unpause? No? What? There's an active diplomatic play in progress. Oh, I have no brain. I have no brain. We're still at war. GG. After bankrolling Rwanda, we have gotten them to a low enough level that we can protectorate them. So this will give us just 3.5 infamy, which is super nice because we want to decay some infamy and we currently have none. And then once this happens, we will start damaging relations with them, and then we can look to dominion them at a greatly diminished price. This is going to time up really, really nicely with wanting to go to war with Qing. I think we're going to take 2 provinces off of Qing, and then we're going to have a ton of infamy. And so before we do this, we do want to try and see if we can get anyone into our customs union, you know, with obligations and such. We're improving relations over here. We're bankrolling over here. We're trying to expand the customs union. Currently, it is not the biggest, but it's not the size that matters. It's how you use it. 420, nice. But yeah, this is cranking up at a pretty good pace after, you know, an initial decrease kind of issue. False democracy, you know, we love to see it. But we will continue on here. We'll try and find the best one for that. And get in and get ready for this war with Qing. So generally speaking, we're not in love with the pacifist ideology because they will often kind of, we have professional army, we have colonialism, and so this just decreases approval in a general sense. This guy's liked, which we kind of prefer because we like the trade unionists come up. We would love them to be at 20%. They're going to trend towards that as SOL rises, as wages of notably machinists and what's the other one? I forget the other one, but they're particularly oriented towards the trade unionists, engineers and machinists, and so these guys in particular, as they start to make more money, which is generally a case when SOL is rising, because as labor gets competitive, industries just raise the price of labor, so they get paid more, and so this raises SOL. As this happens, these guys will tend to get a lot of clout. You can see the clout creeping up, kind of, you know, alongside the fact that the standard of living is creeping up. But the point is we don't like the pacifists, and we can roll a humanist in these guys, and so we'll take an exiled dissident. Notably, you can save and then reload every week, and just to make sure you get a humanitarian in order to go multiculturalism if you feel like save's coming in. But we're just going to exile this guy here and hope to get a humanitarian or an anarchist. That way we can pass multiculturalism, maybe. We don't like the pacifist, and we get a humanitarian because we're so handsome and good at this game. We will take this tick off of free speech, but I think if we don't make progress, we'll just take a quick look and see. So we can get multiculturalism. This will cause radicalization of the Buddhist monks and the petite bourgeoisie. I don't think that's a rev. The petite bourgeoisie notably should be having a little bit of a come down here, but let's see if we could even make a legitimate government with the trade unionists in power, which it looks like we can't. Looks like we can't. Maybe the intelligentsia and them and the armed forces? No, we can't yet. Not while we're kind of, you know, cranking up a little bit. Or notably, we still have another notch to increase if we want, and we could also decrease gov wages. Usually, as the SOL is cranking up, decreasing gov wages is a kind of a way to stem the bleeding a little bit, and so this is generally a good strategy. But I guess we'll just kind of wait and try and get the humanitarian guys, multiculturalism in at some point here, probably after taking the Forbidden City, which is going to be the main point. And we're ready for the play now. So let's just take a look. Do they have any? Nope, they don't have anything. So we're going to go after Beijing at the very least, but we're probably going to go after more than Beijing. I'm thinking that we will take oh, it's only 16. Why is it only 16? Or sorry, 18. Do we have a Boyo who's cautious or whatever? Let's take a look. Yeah, we do have the cautious Boyo, minus 20% infamy generation. So we're going to take a quick look here and try and see if we can pull anyone in the customs union. We don't want to give Congo an obligation in order to do it. We have an obligation with Rwanda, so I don't think we're going to do any of that. But instead, we're going to take 2 Chinese provinces. I was uncertain about taking 2. I was thinking we were going to take 2 and just be sad because it would be 45 infamy, but it's only going to be 36. France, Great Britain, and Russia, and a whole bunch of people can side against us, but I'm pretty sure we have a strong enough military to deal with this, and we'll also go after Shaanxi, which is going to have a ton of resources. Now, we're not going to make it primary, and maybe this is a little bit we kind of have to make it primary, don't we? This is going to generate more infamy. But we'll get refunded if it don't, and then we go for Korea, and we'll just take a bunch of Korean states instead. I kind of regret putting this in. I think the play is to actually just take Beijing and war reps, and we're gonna make the war reps primary though, and do this. Actually, we can make a whole bunch of stuff primary, so they're more likely to fight it. I think if we liberate like Mongolia and then make it primary, I think they're more likely to fight it. Manchuria might be. Manchuria will probably give us nicer looking borders, so let's do that. And we're gonna make it primary. And we can't liberate and make another one primary. I guess we would want to open their market, so we'll open market and make it primary. Or we're spending way too much maneuvers here. This is clearly actually a mistake because we haven't even waited to see who's going to join against us, and we can only take war reps off of someone else if we get a join against us. So we might actually reload if we get that. Just kind of not thinking too much, trying to play a little bit quick here. And so we'll see. This is a little bit tense. We're hoping no one joins, but I think we'll take. Well, we don't need industrialist clout. This guy, who's this guy, well, we don't need clout for that. So we'll take the intelligentsia clout, and we will see if anyone joins against us. We'll kind of just keep it in here. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. No joints, no joints, no joints. No joints, no back downs. No joints, no backs down. We haven't mobilized anyone. We're clearly weak. We just ignore the fact that you're in bankruptcy, my guy. We're also just now finishing the queue that we had accumulated at the very start. So let's actually go in and fix everything up again, trying to 51 things. So we're just going to take a quick look. This isn't necessarily the best way, but we're looking at prices and seeing if anything's like particularly expensive that's a finished good. And so it looks like power and steel is. You can also look through the earnings at particular what's expensive, and so we see that ammo, tools. So we're probably going to, we're looking at what will make earnings, and so we're probably going to go for specifically glassworks, ammo, tools, these sorts of things. We're first going to repair all the infra, because I think we, despite putting some at the front, I think, oh, we didn't crush the infra, okay. So we are going to, ooh, why are we doing this? We're going to come in again. And specifically, it looks like glass and tools are the glass, tools, and energy are the ones to crank up. So anything that's like remotely close to 51, we're getting it there. And then Hokkaido, well, you don't have much labor, and Kansai has a ton of labor, so we're gonna get Kansai to 51 instead. That's 51, and so that's a couple things 51. Now, do we have any in Chubu? We don't have any in Chubu. Now we're going to have a 51 in Chubu. So we are going to need some rails at the front of the queue in Chubu specifically. And then we will continue going for more of these resources. And this is like a critical or very, very important play pattern. You know, going for level 51 kind of as much as you can. So tools, we have one thing up to a 51, but then there's really not a whole bunch of stuff. And so we're going to look where we have the most labor. We have the most labor in Western Afghanistan. That is interesting. So this might be where we add, you know, construction centers. We're not going to add them right now, though. And so instead, we are going to find Kyushu, which has available labor, and we're going to crank it up. And then we are going to find another place, Shikogu. I think actually we'll just add another 10 in both these places. They are encouraging manufacturing, so it is going to be better there in general. And we're going to put the Kansai one of this up. We added some in Chubu, and then what was the other one? Power. Okay, so we're probably just going to build another 51 out of somewhere. And Tohoku looks good because they already have a level 3, and so we're going to bring that up to, that's going to be 16, 21, 31, 41, 51. And we're, of course, going to need some more rails there, I think. Yeah. And Shikoku doesn't have too much infra, so we'll give them some ahead of time. And then continue on and see what the war has for us. Generally want the trade unions to have a bit of come up. They have a really good one. Please don't back down. Please don't have anyone join. Please don't back down. Please don't have anyone join. Classic Victoria 3 politics here. Now, we will mobilize everything, I think is probably a good amount. We notably also have recruited some more admirals, so we can do some of the, stuffs. Alright. You got me. Bada bing. Oh, baby. We get the good stuff. So, the way we'll handle this war is kind of the way we handle every war, which is we're going to just, like, quad land. Well, actually, no. Qing is actually a little bit different. Normally, we just quad land the capital, but their capital should be wide enough that quad landing won't be effective there. So, what we're going to do is we are going to land a whole bunch up here in Outer Manchuria, because they have way less troops defending it, and we're going to land with all of our boyos that are not super high stacked, because you do suffer of malice for this. I think we might... Yeah, we'll just land with these guys. We will go full mobilization as well, or mobilize all the generals. I don't think we'll need any extra juice. I think this will work, and we will be getting, you know, a ton out of this here, and liberating Manchuria as well. Maybe we should have left Manchuria so it'd be easier to fight them later, but we'll actually have a front later, so never mind. I take it all back. As a quality of life measure, we're actually going to come in and put auto expand down on every single thing that's already 51. That way, you know, they can fill out the queue a little bit better and this sort of thing. anything that's that's 51, we will be doing this on, and we'll be doing it all across the country here. That way it will be building with a full 50% bonus instead of building somewhere random where there's no bonus available. So I just noticed here that we are not on houseware plastics, so we're going to turn that up. This is one of the very best investments of oil, and glass is really expensive in the market anyways. And also what we're going to do is now that we have all of those power plants finished, I think we're going to take this back to coal fire plant because there are more efficient, you know, kind of outputs or ways to spend your oil in particular, and so this will help things. We get plastic production, very nice, big nice. The oceans love us, and we will get I think we'll just say plastic is the future. And so that should give us a pretty big bump in terms of eco. And so we should be in good shape here. And we have these landings coming in just a moment. So we want to see them. Ba-boom! Now they're all in. So now we are going to assign this guy up here. Big thickness is going to go up there, and once he arrives, then we will start doing, you know, a bunch of landings with them in Beijing, because China will be moving all of their troops up over here. You can see 400 battalions are coming this way, and so our 100 stack will deal with this and push, and all the other guys just get to land in for free, kind of down here. So the 100 stack, the baby is in here, and so we will be, you know, multi-landing with everyone into Beijing now, other than the 100 stack who will leave pushing. And now the capital is breached. All the guys were up here. Now they're kind of swinging back down to the capital. We don't necessarily need this 94 stack to push here, but I think we could just keep him pushing here. Maybe we want to send like the 18 stack up there to push that particular spot, and then once he gets there, we'll move the 94 down to push the main juice. But now we should be getting, you know, an enforcement relatively quickly, and we should be getting those tasty, tasty Chinese provinces. And what we are getting here is going to be mainly why we are doing this is for the pop, but the legitimacy off the Forbidden City is incredibly nice from having the head of state and government, and so we'll probably have to make an armed forces type government. But what we're also getting here is, oh no, did the game freeze? Rip the dream, baby. I think we're going to swap the skyscraper PM over to trade nexus here as well. Look to get a little bit more trade volume. Just kind of going to scope in our trade routes and see which ones aren't or are or not making money. We're generally pretty happy with them. We're going to delete a couple of the ones that we're a little bit less happy with. We're importing, well, not anymore. We will generally want to, you know, our overall strategy is okay enough that as long as the productivity is not too bad, we're okay with the trade route. We will generally maintain a few extra trade routes with people who we are trying to do something customs union oriented with, like trying to pull into our customs union rather than, you know, GPs. You know, we have been improving relations with these guys a lot. I think we do actually want, speaking of diplomacy in general, I think we do actually want a little bit more juice. So we're going to rival someone, and who do we hate? Well, United States generally has less sorts of things, although if we rival the United States, they're very likely... Scandinavia generally doesn't have too many interests, and so we'll rival Scandinavia. We're also a little bit less scared of them, and we could just look at the customs union stuff. They're pretty unlikely to... We're going to bankroll Mexico, too. 22k is kind of expensive. That's fine. We'll bankroll Mexico. And the reason is they're not very likely to join a bunch of plays against us. If we do it with the USA, New Granada and Venezuela are likely to generate negative attitudes, and people aren't going to join our customs union right now while we're at 33 infamy, but we should be getting, you know, well, we're going to have pops anyways here in just a second as we, you know, enforce down on this war. There's really not a way for Xing to win it. Scandi rivals us back, fair enough, and we're just continuing on. All right, they have accepted peace, and we definitely wanted to pause to see, hey, there's no pop change right now, but I do believe we accept these boyos, so if we let it tick over to next Monday, we will see a huge, massive migration. I said we will see a huge, there we go. There's the migration there. Now we do have a movement for enact old age pension. We're not that worried about it. What exactly is it revving? Almost the entire mainland of Japan. That makes a lot of sense considering these guys have like 5 clout, right? No, it's because these guys are big maj. They're almost, it's a shame we couldn't manage to get them to be what is it, to get them marginalized. They would be marginalized if we managed to get them, like, low enough down here. Or sorry, obviously they're marginalized. They would be marginalized if we managed to get up the literacy rates to a much higher level of, you know, our incorporated pops, which is what we care about. And so, like, higher level schools would be really nice. We kind of would have wanted to get off this because that would be nice for, you know, decreasing the cloud of the Buddhist monks and increasing the cloud of the trade unions. But for now, well, I guess we don't necessarily need multiculturalism so fast, so what should we... Who supports this? I think it's just the trade unionists, yeah. And it's a little bit hard for us to make a legitimate government with the trade unionists, but we probably can with this combo. And who has the big votes? Is it you? And so this will be fine enough, and we can, you know, start to pass things. I think we're going to exile the theocrat, maybe? Actually, we just used our exile. We probably can't use it again. We probably just have to endure this revving potential and just go for multiculturalism anyways here. It's gonna make the Buddhist monks even more mad, which is fine. We just hope that the petite bourgeoisie doesn't join them. The petite bourgeoisie might join them if we do this. So maybe this was actually a bit of a mistake, because now these two guys are linked together. Shame, 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 shame. This guy, we will temporarily put this guy in government, though, so that we can promote the anarchist. So we'll actually no. We don't want to do this. This guy's a social democrat, much better than a traditionalist. And oh, we can't put these guys in government. Shoot, this is such a shame. We would have preferred this guy to lead here, and we would swap him there. A little bit too late now. So we're just gonna, you know, grant this guy leadership instead. He will also support multiculturalism. We can't make a government out of him yet, but we can get these guys big happy, which is going to give us infrastructure, logging industry, agricultural output. I think we're just going to... I mean, what are these guys revving for? They want old age pensions. I mean, I guess we could just give old age pensions here. That's not too big a deal. The landowners hate it. It doesn't matter. They're not going to rev. And this will appease the Buddhist monks, and then we could put them in, but since we already granted leadership, we can't do it again. Man, we just misplayed this super hard. Because now these guys they'll be pacified, right? They're placated. We could put them in government. But I think that if we do that, yeah, I understand. If we do that, I don't believe we can promote this guy anymore, because I think it has a cooldown. Yeah, it does have a cooldown. 4 years. So we'll take him back out. We'll rock with this government for a little while. We'll pass old age pension, and then we'll pass multiculturalism. It's not really a huge priority, but if you see here, these guys are just immigrating to the mainland here. So we are going to have an enormous pop-off here, like bigger than we were before, you know, in regards to this situation. Now, there is pretty high turmoil here, and so this is a problem, but it incorporates real fast because... It incorporates in 5 years because we can accept these pops. So we're going to incorporate Shaanxi, which of course does run us some things. And then we will look to... Kansai is having some infra problems. We're going to see if we have insufficient tax anywhere. We don't. And so we're going to build up in Shaanxi, and we're just going to 51 this bizzle. Now, this will be pretty expensive. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do this, and we are going to find ourselves a decree to put down. I guess maybe we stop road maintenancing in the capital. Or in here. Let's stop road maintenance here temporarily. That way we can do violent suppression in Shaanxi, so we can build up in Shaanxi while only incurring, you know, half the malice on the turmoil. And so this will be nice. Minus 55% violent suppression, and then legitimized ethnic, and then as they incorporate, it should be a lot better. So once we can tax them, it'll be good. That way we can build these faster. But on top of this, we are just going to add 30 construction centers at the front. Just the full 30 shebango. This will feel big nice, big good, and it will get us up over 4K here, which is, of course, the direction we want to go in. And now, we can declare another war, but we're pretty infamous, and so maybe we just chill for a while, we kind of lick our wounds, we let China lick their wounds, and we build construction. So we are just cranking up here in Shaanxi. There's a ton of resources in here, most resource-dense province in the game. We put 35 rails in there, and then we're 51ing like a whole bunch of this stuff, and then, you know, 60 on the glassworks, this type of thing, and we're just going to absolutely blast. There is a construction malice here. We're not too terribly concerned with it, because there's also an enormous amount of pops here available to work. I think what we're actually going to do here is take this other road maintenance decree and put it in Shaanxi, because we are building so much here right now. We will also need to we did see a couple spots that are running infrastructure problems, and so we will, you know, look to play a little bit of a whack-a-mole here with some of the infrastructure. But we are, you know, pretty in the game. We've 2.5x construction here, and this is the thing. We were having population problems at the start. Now we have a pretty big supply of pop, you know, to work with. Of course, we're constructing a lot faster, but the GDP is up, I think, around double from when we took over, which was like, right, or it's not double, but it's up quite a bit since we took over. The line is starting to get a little bit more, you know, vertical. This run was already started out relatively strong, but we will need to keep this queue going. Another thing is, it is important to recognize that this queue being completely filled is really important, because you know, you're still paying wages on all of these anyways, but also these construction sector, it has a ton of buy orders. Construction centers have a ton of buy orders. They're buying all of these goods. When it idles, this causes all of these goods to drop in price, which causes places to fire off pops, you know, that are trying to, it fires off pops from the steel mills, for example. You see the steel mill is not profitable. At an equilibrium, it was profitable, but not anymore, because we have, you know, in here we have problems because the steel prices come down and now it's not profitable. So it's important to, whatever your construction queue is at, just for the sake of balance and not hiring and firing repops, it's important that you know, try and keep the prices a little bit stable, and you try and keep the queue full up. All right, let's take a little moment to review trade here, because I think we want to really start importing like a lot of inputs. Actually, let's make sure we have, yeah, we're gonna try and, we're gonna declare more interest kind of everywhere, look to make sure that we're in decent shape here for doing a little bit of trade in just a moment. Alright, so we want to go back over and see if there's like any more profitable routes that we can now put in. For example, Britain, the coffee route is now profitable again. I guess maybe they were having a rev and this is why it wasn't profitable. We can import dyes from a whole bunch of people, fabric from a few here, and we will do this with almost all of the rural goods here. Grain is still pretty cheap. I think the player who played this run before was probably pretty aggressive with doing this. And so we kind of have gone, ooh, sugar. We have added quite a few, what's it called, the grocers, and so this is probably increasing the price of sugar quite a bit, and we'll import that from the British market. Now we also want to import input goods, that way, you know, our businesses can be more profitable in general. We can do all the manufactured goods, but input goods are going to be eventually a throttle, and this is what's starting to be really expensive in our market, and as a proportion of our buildings, our input goods are going down. See, normally, like, very early on in the game, you don't necessarily want to import, like, iron, for example, because it depresses the price of iron, and if, like, 80% of your buildings are iron mines, this is not necessarily a good thing, although it's not necessarily a bad thing because you're spending it on construction. It's kind of, it's break-even-ish. You'd probably slightly prefer a lower price iron, but it's really not a big deal if it's up. But we are getting a smaller and smaller percentage of our buildings are actually input goods, and a larger and larger percentage of them are manufactories, and so this is why depressing the price of these can be a good thing for us now here later in the game. They are capitalist owned, and so it's not, generally speaking, you usually want to export most capitalist owned goods, but this is kind of a situation where it's not necessarily the case, and we can put in a lot for oil as well. Big nice. And so these should take the edge off. Now obviously we're running a pretty big deficit here. But I'm pretty sure we can build into this and we can just eat this. You know, deficit spending is extraordinarily strong. Our investment pool is growing. This is actually super manageable. We're probably going to add a little bit more construction. I know I said 10K at the start, but that might be a little bit too much to do all at once. Although, you know, them coming on over and us having this enormous like additional like 8 million like labor is going to mean like if we take a look here, there's 24K is coming in. You know, if we take a look at 26K is coming in, 26K, like all these places are receiving so much migration, and they're really kind of on the back of you know, these Chinese pops here, which if you take a look, see, this is 12K and it's just climbing up pretty well. It was climbing up pretty steadily. They're moving around a little, I guess. But there were no Han pops here before, and now they're starting to come in, you know, as a result of us taking all this dirt over here. And so this is going to be pretty good. We do need to keep the construction queue going. And we also want to make sure that we are, when we're finishing colonies, making sure we're getting a little bit more of the extra colony juice. I think that it's reasonable to incorporate Beijing. Very often you don't do it in most runs because the Forbidden City gives +5 authority and +2 legitimacy because it benefits from colonial exploitation, but it's only a 5-year incorporation for us, and it will expand our tax base a lot. We have also been incorporating other areas because we overall want to expand our tax base a lot. Hopefully we can get old age pensions through and maybe get this set up to where, you know, we are kind of ready to go multiculturalism, although our market's not very big at this current juncture. So like once the market gets a lot bigger, then multiculturalism would be better because then we could siphon off pops from other people. But currently there's not a market for it. Look at this. All of these are going to the Japanese like mainland here. They're just all coming in and it's just cranking out. That's so much. We do have a little bit of a native uprising. We're gonna check our infamy in just a second here because this will be kind of an important thing. We've also risen to #1 GP. We'll probably be back to talk after we get the infamy under 25 because we'll see if we can bring anyone into the customs union. We could probably bankroll a couple more people. We have a trade agreement. We're actually going to take a look at who we can bankroll. And we want to try and, you know, get good relations. This is not the most expensive bankroll, but it is a little bit pricey. So we'll just have that one, and we will look to try and get these guys in the customs union so that we can eventually annex them. So this is often like a late game inflection point you hit where switching back to canneries can actually make sense because grain prices are so depressed. And what canneries does, or sorry, canneries to vacuum canning, what this does is it increases the demand for fish, which is much more finite than the amount of grain. Fish is much more expensive for us right now than grain is, and it increases the demand also for oil. And so swapping back onto canneries in the late game can very often be profitable. You'll see now we have a huge positive balance here, and it's cranking on up. So I think what we'll do is we will take a look at market-wide doing this, and this will increase the price of grain, which will be kind of okay. It will shoot down the price of fish, which again will be okay, because they're substitute goods, so it's really not that big a deal at this point in the game, once we've gotten this late, because we are getting a little bit gated in terms of profitability, and we would rather have both of these prices kind of closer to even, and so this will help return the prices to even. We've also put in, you know, another 51 here, because we are looking to get our pops to eat a lot of these goods in particular, or to eat a lot of the grain, and so this is one of the problems. Now we're making money here, but that's of course because the queue's not filled up, so we'll get right on that. Look at Sakhalin here. It was on 219k pops, and now it's getting plus 27k around, and I'm almost certain that this is like all Chinese pops, right? Because now they can move in here, which is going to be absolutely tremendous. We can take a look, show more, and we see the Han pops are starting to come in. 6% Han, and this number should crank up pretty high, but we haven't been able to, you know, get the resources out of Sakhalin. You know, it has a solid amount of infrastructure, and then like you can't employ up, and the reason being is there's just not enough labor here, but now there is an increasing amount of labor as it is just flooding in from the Chinese places. And so, you know, iron is expensive in our market, and it is expensive, and we can't harvest it over here as a result of the migration, and now we are fixing that. Let's take a look here. We're still infamous. Oh, we're almost on infamous though, so we will be able to take a look at what we can do here. We definitely want to wait until we're at, you know, 29 or 24.9, because now we can do new things. It's a whole new world, and yeah, this is just going to continue to fly up. This number is going to keep creeping up here, and then all these mines will be able to become profitable again, which is why we're going to do some of this. Now, I think that that's not going to be enough infrastructure, so we're just going to add a little bit at the front. And notably, infrastructure is what gates how many pops can come in, and so this is going to be good for us. We can expand the construction there, we can expand the construction in Beijing, but what we want to take a look at now is kind of our like long-term plan of expanding the customs union a little bit as well. We can't invite anyone. That is unfortunate. Can we absolve a bankroll? We only have one with Rwanda. That is not ideal. We can improve relations with some of these guys, which I think might be the next step. After it gets above 50, the improved relations will drop off, but we are just trying to get them to the point where we can bring them into the customs union, just a whole bunch of these guys, because we want to protectorate them. That way we can later like dominion them. For example, Burma, we got the protectorate on, and we are decaying or we're trying to damage relations with them, you know, this entire time, because once we get damage relations low enough, we will have a much cheaper dominion on them. It's only going to cost us 5 infamy to dominion them, because you only pay a quarter because they are we pay so much less because we're, let's see. Okay, so multiplied by 0.25 because they're a subject, but also minus 20% from there, and they're unrecognized. Yeah, so it's only 20% to dominion someone who's 6 mil pop, which again, you know, once we get multiculturalism, we will be able to do things. Now, the Forbidden City is also giving us extra authority. It looks like our suppression has fallen off here, our violent suppression, but what we will probably do is put down road maintenance maybe in Beijing. We're not really building in these two provinces as much anymore, as we're trying to top off all these other provinces, and getting Beijing up and running will be super nice. And so then we can, you know, come in here and do this, and then again put in a whole bunch of other stuff. Actually, we probably want it at the front of the queue because we already started 50 wanting this, and so I think that we would even want this in the front instead. You know, we have enough to kind of come in here, so let's do that. But we've expanded construction very dramatically here. We can't pull anyone into the customs union, but we're in a position where we can go for Korea next. Peru, Bolivia wants a trade agreement. This is going to cause relations to come up faster. Prussia wants a trade agreement. I don't know if we want this, because we're not going to be able to dominion Prussia. There's just no way we dominion Prussia. Their GP, are they close to decaying? No, so we're not going to take this with Prussia. It would allow us to get a little bit more goods, which would be nice, but this is not the end of the world. Instead, we're going to save most of our Diplo for pulling people into the customs union. I think we're going to call it a session here, because I don't see an avenue to get to 10k in the near future, but we have 2.5x, you know, this, and we have solved what I think was the main potential issue in this run, which is the amount of pops we have. These pops will emigrate and just flood into Japan, and this is what they're doing. You know, like Sakhalin's like a perfect example here, because we're getting 29k a year. I hope we moved someone over there. We might have been a little bit distracted. No, we weren't. At 29k a year, which is going to be huge for them. You know, USA wants a trade agreement. I think we're going to say no, for the same reasons as before. But this is how you solve the problem. And the next step to solving this problem will be, of course, going multicultural. Who else supports it? Okay. I don't think we could get them in power simultaneously. Yep, there's no way. But also, we are getting a ton of legitimacy. We can actually decrease taxes a little bit here in order to get up to the next notch so that we can kind of try and make sure we have a lot of loyalists. This was kind of a little bit of a problem at the beginning. Hopefully we can demarginalize these guys. Once the Chinese pops get incorporated, these guys should gain a bit of power because they get more power based on having low literacy, and our incorporated states will have low literacy, so this is unfortunate. But I think moving forward, the thing to do would be to go multiculturalism or you know what, I think it's just going multiculturalism. So we're going to click the button. We're probably going to return this save to the sender. But we've like doubled GDP. I think, well, maybe it's not double. We've cranked up GDP quite a bit. We've got a ton more construction. You know, very, very powerful. We did do a bit of border gore. So if you just wanted to take Korea, I'm sorry. This isn't the way we went. You know, solving the main problems here. Also fixing up a lot of these PMs to be a little bit more efficient. You know, you just absolutely have to be running diesel pump and automatic irrigation on everything because you go from 40 to 100. Look at that. It's more than doubled. Did they buff this? Was it always 40? I thought it was 40 to 80. Is it really? What? Wait. Is that the only one? Or this one's also 20 to 50. Did they buff this? Okay, I gotta check the spreadsheet, make sure I have all the right values. But it's such an insane PM, as is, you know, condensing pump to the diesel pump, right? Because you're moving up like quite a bit, and you're subbing out all the coal and adding the oil. It's just incredibly efficient. You know, as a PM, you're just getting way, way, way more value. We also did the very strange swap back, which is what you do when the grain price gets super depressed, which it is not anymore. It's still a little depressed. It's still a little sad, but it's not super, super, super low. Which is going to help out a bit. You know, our pops, it's an inferior good, so our pops aren't consuming as much of it as, you know, the SOL rises. They'll consume less and less and less of it, and simultaneously alongside that, you know, I actually do think we came in and we turned on PMs for the I think we turned on Chemferts as well, so this is part of why the rice or the grain price collapsed. We have way too many like of these type of things. I think a lot of them are just not profitable at all. We have, or well, I guess that one's profitable, but like a lot of these are just not very profitable. And so if you are trying specifically to, you know, increase the price of grain or make use of the fact that you have really cheap grain, swapping back off of vacuum canning is a way to do it, or even all the way back, although I think the all the way back is unnecessary. I still think it's a decent use of iron. We could even see though, yeah, this would be more profitable, allegedly. We would have to build way more of them, but it would use more grain and less iron and less fish. Anyways, kind of rambling at this point. I hope you enjoyed this disaster save. If you want to share your file, just hit me up on the Discord. It's probably going to be better to access me than the email I made for the disaster saves. You know, this has been a fun one to take a look at. The run was already in pretty solid shape anyways, but I think in about 5-ish years, we cranked up construction 2.5x, and of course we're running a huge deficit, which was not the case at the start, but this deficit's not as bad as it looks because the investment pool's growing, but we're about to, when we add a bunch of stuff to the, let's actually just add a bunch so we can actually see like what it really looks like. Let's just fill out the construction queue really quick so we can talk about this in an intelligible way. What else could we put down here in, yeah, sure. Again, 51s are very, very critical, and so we've done a lot of that. So we're losing about 900k because you have to do this number plus this number, trying to drain out the investment pool. You know, this will be, I think you can build into this, but I don't think adding more construction at this point in time makes a whole bunch of sense. We added it in Beijing because we knew we were going to build in Beijing, and we really wanted to make use of state construction efficiency that we are getting off the building. But you know, it was mainly just snatching up some more pops. This standard of living, we have brought it down because we wanted to bring the normal wage down as well, because a huge portion of our expenses is in fact, you know, let's see, government wages. And so I think that when was this? This might have been when we put in a bunch of labor-saving PMs, and then it's been kind of flat. You know, by bringing a ton of extra labor into this, we get cheaper stuff, and also all the buildings are more profitable, you know, because their weekly balance is revenue minus expenses. Of the expenses, wages are included. So by getting a whole bunch of these extra pops, starting to migrate here to Japan, all these buildings should get a lot more profitable very, very, very quickly, you know, as year over year they're starting to get 23K in all these places, you know, really starting to get a ton of employment flooding in. Obviously, there's a little bit of unemployment, which is not ideal, so there's probably some room to stimulate the economy through various means, like, for example, increasing the Social Security up a notch is probably a pretty good look. We definitely want education up. Let's take a look. There's a few other ways to stimulate the economy. We mainly just want to keep upping construction, but right now it's at a pretty good level for what's going on. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube algorithm stuff, and have a good day. Ooh, also Manchuria, we do want to bankroll you. We want to bring you into the customs union. Actually, let's bankroll and propose trade agreement. Alright, I couldn't not do it. I couldn't not do it. Have a good one.